Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a 2021 comparison between the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 11 Pro. Now, both these phones are, I guess, older now. Obviously, the 11 Pro is newer, 2 years newer than the iPhone 10, but both these phones still look pretty good. They're both pretty relevant. If you have all the money in the world, the 11 Pro is by far the better one to get nowadays, but the iPhone 10 is still a pretty good phone too. So, if you want to pick up either one of these, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, identically, almost exactly the same things on the front. I think they are exactly the same. Really, the main difference on the front in terms of a body standpoint is that allegedly the 11 Pro's panel is brighter, but you really don't see that. Like, I'm looking at them side by side right now. I think they both are almost the same, but I do like the 11 Pro's panel. I've used both these phones as main phones for my life, and I enjoyed both of them. I think the 11 Pro is probably the winner, though, when it comes down to the display, but like I mentioned, they're almost identically the same thing. The side, though, we do have a little bit of a difference. They both are kind of the same thing, but we do have a gold color for the iPhone 11 Pro, which is something I like. Apparently, the 11 Pro is also a little bit thicker. You don't really notice that day to day, though. They both feel kind of roughly the same. And on the back, one of my favorite things ever for the 11 Pro, this was the first time we saw a frosted glass back on the 11 Pro and a triple camera setup on an iPhone. The iPhone 10 has a standard glass back with a dual camera setup, wireless charging on both, IP certification on both, but definitely when it comes down to the feeling in the hand, the 11 Pro feels better. I love that, just the frosted glass back is one of my favorite things about the 11 Pro, and I was still tempted to use this phone not too long ago just because of the way it feels. I still own it. It's the same phone I used, and all those videos and stuff I made from it, both of these iPhones are those main iPhones I used, and I can definitely tell you when it comes down to it, I really do like the 11 Pro, the feeling in the hand, but I still think the iPhone 10 feels extremely good too. Now, on top of that, one of the bigger differences between these two is going to be the software. You're going to be getting a much longer supported phone from something like an iPhone 11 Pro over an iPhone 10. Now, for those of you who don't know, basically Apple releases their software lifecycle based on the years the phone was released pretty much and the chipset inside. So with the iPhone 11 Pro, it has that Apple A13 Bionic chip. iPhone 10 has that Apple A11 Bionic chip, so 2 years older on here. So theoretically, this phone should be getting 2 more years of software support, but from everything that I've heard ever in my life, it seems like the iPhone 10 is probably going to be matching the life cycle of the iPhone XS and iPhone XR. Don't quote me on it, but just based on everything that I've seen from the movement of things, certain round, all this other stuff, I think the iPhone 10 is going to last almost as long as the iPhone XS and XR, if not as long as the iPhone XS and XR. So take it as you will, but I still think the 11 Pro is going to last longer than the iPhone 10. So if you want a phone that's going to last the longest, the 11 Pro by far is the better way to go. On top of this, though, another quick little difference is that the 11 Pro has a bigger battery than the iPhone 10. So that's another minor thing. It's not a crazy big thing, but it is something to keep in mind. If you want the phone that's going to be giving you better battery life, I think the 11 Pro is by far the better way to go. I love the 11 Pro. I've used both of these phones, like I said, as main phones for a while, and I did see that the 11 Pro pretty much gave me better battery life every single day, way better battery life than the iPhone 10 in my opinion. So take it as you will, but that's pretty much how I see it. Now let's go and do a little bit of a speed comparison between both these devices. The iPhone 10, like I mentioned, has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. The iPhone 11 Pro has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between both of these. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, all the apps are clear in the background except for these ones on the iPhone 10, so let me get out of these. It's going to take one more second. There we go. So let's get started. As always, I have a bunch of these third-party apps I'm just going to get into right out the gate. They're all the way over here, so let's get started. Let's go and do Fruit Ninja. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 10 is a little bit different. It's kind of taking a little bit of time for it to kind of, it's a little weird, I'll be honest. And they are in different versions. The iPhone 11 Pro is faster on the version that it's on. The iPhone 10 was a little bit behind right there. So I guess we'll let it load, but the iPhone 10 did have network connection problems like you just saw right here. So hopping out of this specific app, let's go ahead and do stack. 3, 2, 1. And I have to keep adjusting the iPhone 10, which is on the right. The iPhone 11 Pro is on the left. And here we go. You can pretty much see that the iPhone 11 Pro is the faster one. The iPhone 10 is probably going to take a couple seconds. They're both on airplane mode, technically speaking. The iPhone 10 was being weird there, so I'm not really too sure what happened there. Let's go and do Snake versus Blocks. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 10 actually was faster there, surprisingly. I'm not too sure why that happened, but I guess we'll let that one breathe. As you can see, they're both gameplay-wise, they're going to be roughly around the same. The iPhone 10 did seem to be a little bit faster there. Let's go ahead and do something like Dropbox. 3, 2, 1. And 11 Pro was the faster one. iPhone 10 a little bit behind. Let's go ahead and do Netflix. 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, they both are having a network issues as it looks like. So hopping out of this one, but the 11 Pro still booted up first in my opinion. Let's go to tempo run 2, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the iPhone 11 Pro is noticeably faster than the iPhone 10. Now this one's probably going to run into some network issue as I've always seen. But they both, I mean, the 11 Pro is going to be faster anyway. Getting into some gameplay, I think they're roughly going to be around the same. But that's still a pretty big difference. You know, I think the iPhone 10 is a little bit slower. It's pretty noticeable. You can see gameplay wise, they're roughly around the same here. But I still think the iPhone 11 Pro is a little bit faster. Getting into Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. It's a pretty basic app for the most part. Roughly around the same on both. Let's go and end it off with Thank You, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the iPhone 11 Pro again was the faster one. Gameplay wise, I think they're going to be roughly around the same, but I still think the iPhone 11 Pro is the faster one for sure. So if you want the fastest phone, the 11 Pro is by far the better way to go. But I still think, bro, as you guys can see, the iPhone 10 was still able to keep up for the most part. It's a very fast phone, and I think it has a lot of capability for sure. So in terms of that, that covers the speed comparison. Let's go and hit on the cameras. As I mentioned before, the iPhone 10 has a dual camera setup, a wide-angle lens and a telephoto lens. The 11 Pro has that wide-angle lens, telephoto lens, and an ultra-wide sensor. Now, for sure, I think a phone like an iPhone 10 is still completely relevant. It has a lot going for it, and it's just a good phone in general. It has a very decent camera. Even on the front, it's pretty decent. 1080p at 30 though, 4K at 60 on the back. I think this camera is very good still, portrait mode. I do think the 11 Pro is the better camera for sure, but I think for fun, if you're going to use it day to day, you're going to have a pretty decent experience with something like an iPhone 10. You have that telephoto lens, so you can zoom in a crazy amount, and you don't have an ultra-wide sensor, but you have a good enough sensor for the most part that you can do a lot of things with. So I think for sure the iPhone 10's camera is still good enough for the most part. But I do think something like an iPhone 11 Pro by far is a better camera. You have that telephoto lens similar to the iPhone 10, but you have that ultra-wide sensor, so you can zoom out a bunch more in this specific camera lens. So I think that's another really big advantage that you have with this specific phone. On top of that, 4K at 60 on the back, but you also have 4K at 60 on the front as well. This was one of the first iPhones to bring 4K at 60 on the front, and I think that is a really good advantage with this phone. It's not like the groundbreaking achievement, but it is a really nice thing to have. So when it comes down to the camera setup, I think the iPhone 11 Pro by far is a better winner here. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you go and buy an iPhone 10? Should you buy an iPhone 11 Pro? Well, like I mentioned earlier, if you have all the money in the world, the 11 Pro I think is a no-brainer. This device is the better phone for sure. It has a lot more capability. It's faster. Battery life is better. It's better built. I like having this, kind of frosted back. I think it's really nice. That has a really nice type of touch on this phone. And better cameras. I mean, this phone is just better overall. It's going to last longer. It is the no-brainer. If you have to pick up a phone, I think the iPhone 11 Pro is the better phone, 100% fact. But I've said this before, if you need to buy a phone and you want to save the most amount of money, I think the iPhone 10 in that case is the better one here. This phone, I mean, it's cheaper than the iPhone 11 Pro in the used market. I don't think you can buy these things brand new anymore, but if you can, I'm sure it's going to be cheaper than a brand new iPhone 11 Pro. These phones, to be honest, this is like the groundbreaking achievement that's just such a good value in so many different ways. Although it isn't like a way better phone than the iPhone 11 Pro, I think it is a better value at the end of the day than the iPhone 11 Pro. This phone, still very fast, beautiful display, very good cameras, still getting software support for quite a bit of time. Again, there's not a lot to hit on this phone. I think if you have to buy a device, I would rather have an iPhone 11 Pro, but I think the iPhone 10 is still a very good phone for sure. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. Like I mentioned before, if you want to pick up either one of these, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.